Hey guys, it is Will. Hopefully you're having a good day. So we are trying to pull up the audio here. They're just getting into the intro right now for the earnings of Big Bear. We've already seen their stock dip so far. So I'm going to pull up the audio here best I can. All right, looking for audio. CEO speaking right now.
Rapidly increasing investment in our core capabilities, national and border security, and logistics. These are not just policy priorities, they are global imperatives. In the 3 months since our last earnings call, we have seen landmark developments resulting in powerful market tailwinds in each of these areas. Most significantly, the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill will bring a generational investment in areas where Big Bear AI has core capabilities, innovative products, and market-leading performance. The One Big Beautiful Bill, or OB3 as we're calling it, provides $170 billion in supplemental funding to the Department of Homeland Security and $150 billion to the Department of Defense for disruptive defense technology, as well as billions more across shipbuilding and other critical national security missions that we support. This is not incremental funding for innovation. This is a transformative level of investment, and as a mission-ready AI company with national and border security focus, it's directly in our lane. We anticipated these developments, if not their scale, and have made key bets in recent years that we are now positioned to capitalize on. Big Bear AI has been proving we are a leading provider of capabilities called for in this legislation, both in the U.S. and across the globe. For example, Big Bear AI has deployed world-class biometric solutions for traveler processing on more than 2,000 devices at over 500 gates and 25 airports. These deployments include providing biometric exit solutions and recently pioneering a new biometrically enabled enhanced passenger processing solution alongside partner airports and in support of U.S. Customs and Border Protection. We're also demonstrating progress with our technologies that support defense autonomy, including Conductor OS for DoD's drone swarming development efforts. Our supply chain management solutions, including Shipyard AI, are helping transform the industrial base for America and our allies. And we're partnering internationally with organizations like International Holding Company in the United Arab Emirates and Narval Holdings in Panama in multiple sectors, such as port security and supply chain logistics, expanding our global relevance and impact. Importantly, we've done this while building a robust balance sheet and the capital necessary to take advantage of the unprecedented growth opportunities in this market. In our release today, we highlight the strongest ever balance sheet in the history of Big Bear AI, with over $390 million in cash to support aggressive new growth initiatives. We intend to deploy capital with urgency, rigor, and discipline to grow our top line both organically and inorganically through targeted M&A. We are excited to discuss all of this with you today in detail, but first I want to address our second quarter performance and our outlook for the rest of the year. In our first quarter earnings call, we talked about the potential for disruptions in federal contracts from efficiency efforts. We have seen those disruptions this quarter, most notably in programs that support the United States Army, as they seek to consolidate and modernize their data architecture, and in turn, we have adjusted our full year guidance this quarter to reflect such disruptions. That said, Big Bear AI will support the Army strategy to capitalize on their investment in a new data platform while continuing to support the development of critical capabilities for the warfighter on their new architecture going forward, including competing for the new Global Force Information Management contract with our unique expertise in Army data systems. Despite these challenges with Army contracts, we are not going to sit back and lick our wounds. We're going to compete to win this work again. More broadly, we welcome this type of disruption to streamline data layers and allow for software to address mission use cases to be delivered more quickly. We intend to capitalize on this type of changing focus in government technology investment and the suite of new acquisition methodologies with a larger and better focused pipeline, targeted where the resources are going and bringing mature products and technology assets to bear, in addition to our talented and mission-focused development teams. Coming into the role as CEO earlier this year, it was clear to me that our pipeline was narrow.
So just kind of an update here as they continue. I'm just going to mute it for a second. The Big Bear stock has dropped down to just below $6 a share right before market open, before market close. They even had it happen or right before the earnings report came out. Some institutional seller, it might have been BlackRock, it might have been AE, we're not really sure. But we see here this dip here. It dipped down, it found a bottom at $5, and it's recovered about 40 cents since then. So just kind of keeping updated. We see a big sell-off there. Not something we didn't totally expect in either direction, but this is what it's looking like at the moment here.
To the market. In partnership with Sean in his new role, I believe that we are achieving the right balance of optimism while also being mindful of risks that we cannot control. We are building this business for the long term, not building this business around quarterly thinking or focusing myopically on prior contract models. We see the opportunity to build a market-leading business that can transform mission areas and industries, and we are firmly placing our focus on those future growth prospects. Our new guidance range will give us the flexibility to invest in an aggressive but disciplined way over the rest of this year and smartly deploy capital to accelerate the major growth inflection that will drive material, long-term shareholder value in the quarters to come. This quarter is not about taking a step back. It's about setting up for an aggressive step forward. We are going on offense in a big way and going after much bigger game. Let's talk in more detail about the exciting emerging environment that we're operating.
So before they go into biometrics, they go into the numbers and everything else for the actual market. I want to talk about their financials. We're going to jump into it in just a second. I'm going to uncover that info.
This type of international partnership is indicative of the rapid push for adoption of mission-enhancing AI tools across the security and critical infrastructure sectors. We are excited to be partnering with leading Emirati companies to deliver our AI products in the region and beyond. In the U.S., OB3 includes $170 billion in supplemental funding for DHS over the next 4 years. $70 billion of that is earmarked for CBP, with $6.2 billion allocated specifically to border technology and $673 million to biometric exit. It's worth pausing on the magnitude of these funding enhancements. When I led CBP, we had a $16 billion budget, one of the largest for any law enforcement agency globally. Now CBP has 4 times that amount in incremental funding on top of their existing base, largely to acquire technology solutions to support operations and all over the next 4 years. For DoD, OB3 includes a $16 billion military AI autonomy fund to scale swarming unmanned aerial systems, which aligns directly with our investments in Conductor OS and autonomy enablement. Add to that $29 billion for domestic shipbuilding, supporting areas where we've already demonstrated value with platforms like Shipyard AI. And all of this is underpinned by a surge in AI adoption. In our core markets, security, travel and logistics, defense and intel, AI deployment is no longer an experiment, it's becoming the global standard. Industry reports indicate that U.S. investments in AI are projected to surge by 44% year over year, and federal procurement for AI/ML-enabled mission systems is estimated to be growing by approximately 10 to 15% year over year. These are generational investments in areas with a direct line of sight to growth for Big Bear AI in markets where we are already a leader. On that note, our efforts over the last quarter reinforce our positioning in these markets, our product innovation, and our operational performance. In borders, travel, and trade, our biometric solution, Veriscan, has become a market standard for enhanced passenger processing, which enables smooth and secure traveler processing upon entry into the United States. Over the last quarter, we expanded deployments across 12 airports and seaports in North America. We are rapidly scaling to meet demand, and combined with our established and growing deployments of biometric exit, Big Bear AI has emerged as a market leader in this category. We are also preparing to build upon our existing work at DHS and compete for the opportunity to support multiple critical IT systems at CBP, where the agency is pursuing several acquisitions to upgrade critical systems supporting border security, passenger and cargo processing, and risk assessment. Several of these procurements have been accelerated and are scheduled to come to fruition over the next 4 to 6 quarters. For our defense and intelligence customers, our autonomous command and control enablement software, Conductor OS, performed exceptionally at the recent Talisman Sabre exercise, supporting operations with real-time AI model deployment, enhancing battlefield decision-making, and asset coordination. We also recently secured a contract in partnership with Hardy Dynamics under the DoD Joint Program Executive Office for Armaments and Ammunition to work on drone swarm lethality, another proof point of our strong positioning to play a critical role in the next generation of distributed autonomy. For our supply chain, logistics, and manufacturing business, our shipyard AI capability has already proven itself. With new funding allocated to shipbuilding and infrastructure as part of OB3, we're poised to scale.
So I just got to cut it off here because one thing to note here, they came in with the net loss that we were expecting, not a positive income, but they had a massive net loss. I mean, even with non-cash goodwill impairment charges, they're coming in there with about $220 million there on that net income negative. So that's not a good sign. Why is that? They're saying it's driven by non-cash changes, derivative liabilities, changes in fair value of convertible features. I think what we have to consider here, as they have sold off, is that there's a support at about $5 a share. We got to see if that holds, because it doesn't look so bad on the revenue standpoint. They came in, they decreased a little bit down to 32 million. We were hoping for above 40 million. We're actually hoping for 50 million. And we said if it comes below 40, we'll probably see a sell-off. They came below 40, almost 30 million. So that's why we see a big sell-off. The other side of this thing right now is that when it comes to what just happened, when the revenue came down, they were expecting around 40 million in revenue. They came in at 32. The company just swung a loss of about 71 cents a share versus the anticipated loss of about 0.06 or 6 cents per share. So they revised their guidance now to 125 to 140 million dollars for this year, as opposed to prior forecast of 160 and 180. And so the stock plunged basically on their guidance. Their guidance just went down. It's not out of left field. Like historically, we see about, 86% of the time Big Bear AI stock has dropped on earnings day, with median one-day loss average of negative 14%. So this isn't new on earnings. That's why we made a video earlier today that we were talking about how we really would want to react to the dip and not bet big on the dip. But when you're looking at kind of their brutal truth here, is that BBAI is under what is a little bit of financial stress with that negative net income. But do we believe in the long-term potential AI in defense? Yes. And that's where kind of deep conviction comes in. And if the fundamentals can hold as far as contracts, there is strategically a buying opportunity here, but only if you have that conviction and diversification. Otherwise, it's a flag here to pause, reassess, and look at the net income. Now, let's take a look. We're not gonna hide from anything here. I mean, let's hear exactly what they have to say around the financials.
This demonstrates that not only did we raise significant proceeds, but also executed at strong prices. Our access to the capital markets through these ATM facilities demonstrates our ability to raise a meaningful amount of capital quickly.
So they did nearly double the cash on hand here.
From a macro perspective, the proceeds from these ATM facilities will be the foundational fuel to the offensive strategy we've outlined here today. Now let's turn to our operating results for the quarter. Second quarter revenue was $32.5 million, a decrease of $7.3 million year over year, which was primarily driven by the Army programs that Kevin previously discussed. Gross margins decreased slightly year over year. Gross margin for the second quarter of 2025 was 25% versus 27.8% for the comparable period. SG&A expenses decreased from $23.4 million in the second quarter of 2024 to $21.5 million in the second quarter of 2025. Our net loss for the second quarter was $228.6 million, driven by changes in the fair value of derivatives of about $136 million, primarily associated with the quarterly remeasurement of the convertible features of our convertible notes. We also recorded a goodwill impairment charge of about $71 million this quarter, which was partially driven by our reduced guidance range for 2025. Both of these are non-cash items and excluded from our measurement of adjusted EBITDA. Adjusted EBITDA for the second quarter was negative $8.5 million versus negative $3.7 million in the comparable period. The decrease in adjusted EBITDA was primarily driven by lower gross profit due to lower revenue volume, as well as higher R&D expenses. As Kevin already mentioned in his remarks, while we see significant opportunities in our portfolio long-term, recent near-term impacts on certain large programs and government contracting timing risks have impacted our revenue outlook for the rest of this year. We see tremendous growth opportunities ahead of us from expanding our existing portfolio to meet the demands of OB3 and global AI adoption, as well as opportunities to accelerate through inorganic growth. In order to capitalize on these opportunities, we plan to make meaningful investments for the duration of this year to pursue these in earnest. As a result of the reduction in our revenue outlook, coupled with our expected increased investment spend profile for the second half of this year, we are withdrawing our adjusted EBITDA guidance at this time. For the full year 2025, we are now projecting revenue between $125 million and $140 million. I'll now turn it back to Kevin to discuss our priorities and to give a few closing remarks.
Thanks, Sean. As mentioned, our balance sheet strength and cash position specifically puts us in a position to dramatically increase our rate of market capture and capitalize on these unprecedented tailwinds with conviction and agility. Our strategy is clear: go on offense, both by investing in our capability to pursue organic growth with our AI technology products and government solutions, and through targeted acquisitions. On organic growth, we're investing to supercharge our growth engine, specifically around capture campaigns pertaining to OB3 and the private sector security technology markets. We will also be expanding our investment in marketing. Given the extent of the value that we can provide potential customers at this moment, we believe that broad awareness is critical, and we have the resources to support a much greater presence. Talent. We're attracting and retaining top-tier talent from both the tech and national security communities. As we expand into this new chapter, we will be bringing on senior advisors and operators that can further support our business in scaling to the next level. Innovation. Our AI innovation agenda is advancing quickly, and we are focusing on both our core existing capabilities and on additional frontier innovation, including physical AI and Internet of Things integration and agentic systems that will operate in the real world to drive security and efficiency at scale. Partnerships. We are deepening ties with strategic partners domestically and internationally to ensure our capabilities integrate seamlessly into the ecosystems that matter most and that we have distribution access that extends globally. M&A. Most critically, we are actively pursuing strategic, transformational acquisitions. We are looking at targets that will accelerate scale, unlock new markets, and add step function in AI capability. Let me close by bringing it all together. While we have experienced some contract disruption that has negatively impacted our financial results, this quarter should not be defined by it. Instead, the opportunities we have in this moment are defined by powerful market tailwinds, significant progress in the business and our technology, and a strong financial posture going forward to take rapid advantage of the climate that we're operating in. We are in the right markets with the right platforms, and we are proving that in the field. We intend to gain market share, win new customers, establish new partnerships, and secure our place at the center of AI transformation in national and border security, transportation and mobility, and critical infrastructure. We have the cash to invest, the conviction to advance, and we're building the team to execute. Thank you to our BigBear.ai team and our shareholders for your continued support. I look forward to speaking with all of you next quarter to update you on our progress.
Thank you. This will conclude today's conference. You may disconnect at this time, and thank you for your participation.
Wow. Okay. Well, basically what we're seeing here with BigBear AI here is there's a good point in the chat there from Marco. He's fairly bearish. The bearish perspectives are important to consider at this time, especially when we're looking at what we're going to compare here is we're going to look at the data. I respect the caution for sure there, Marco. When it comes to you guys, what do you guys think, chat? I'm curious. We got some people are saying I'm buying the dip. Some people are saying I'm going to add, or they already have a low average. Personally, I have an average of about $2.80, so I'm fine with this. It's a bummer to see it drop in one day like this. The long term, I'm looking at it and potentially adding here. I know the net income was not favorable, but we're gonna have to look at that. We're gonna have to look at this because this is definitely, we're seeing some fear-driven selling off here from institutions, and then we also got, is it fear-driven or is it truly fundamental? That's what we got to look at here. What do you guys think? I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking. I mean, I love when we have both sides in the chat because it's how we need to think. Emotions off. You see it sell off, something like this, right? Not like we didn't expect either way for a potential sell-off today. But now we're looking at it and we're saying, okay, what's maybe next? What are you guys thinking right now? And the bearish or bullish, remember, the market doesn't care about our feelings, right? We're looking at our execution and we're going to jump into the numbers here and kind of what they came out with. But I'm just taking a quick poll right now. Who thinks the drop here, 27% down? Big Bear, you see the pullback here. It's just pulled back down here. It's made this big run up to $8 and it just pulled back to where it was basically back in June, right? So it was back here in June at these levels. I'm curious, is right now, just taking the poll, who thinks the drop here is an overreaction versus, who thinks it's a start of a bigger downtrend that we're going to see? And I want to really see what we got in the chat and hear from you all as their earnings just came out. Now, also, I'm curious to know when they came in with this, do you guys feel like there was enough information? Because honestly, when I'm listening to this right now, I'm feeling like they didn't go in enough. They read from a script very much. They didn't do the Q&A. I was expecting a Q&A. As an investor, I want to hear a Q&A. I want to know contract values. Not really enough data. It almost seemed like a pre-recorded earnings without Q&A. I would like to see that be a factor, but we didn't even get that. That's something that a company can't do. I mean, I'll tell you what, if we're ever public, we ever have earnings, for example, for our software company, something like that, I'm always going to ask everybody what's going on, what are the questions, and that's going to give us the best look on where we're at. So I'm going to jump back in here. Oops. Not trying to have my text messages up. That's weird. All right, there we go. Here we are. So I'm looking at the chat here. Let's see what we got. So couple movements, right? Big dip here on Big Bear. And now we're looking at what is a change in narrative on certain sorts. Yeah, exactly. I mean, CJ, I agree with you. You say not doing a Q&A is just stupid for any company. I agree. I mean, where is a Q&A? It's supposed to be a discussion, right? So let's see what we got here. So big downtrend. So some people are saying big downtrend, start of a bigger downtrend. Then some people, MH is saying doesn't mean it's over. Someone says it will take a while. It's going to make a run. It's going to take a while. You see someone says if it breaks down below 5, it's big downside. Okay. There is a support there. We'll take a look there on the chart, how that looks, because we see it pull back today. Michael says, I think it's an overreaction, but it's going to sell off further. Looking especially bad if we see this in tandem with a market correction. That's definitely something to think about. So you got, what is it, CPI report? Is that tomorrow? Tomorrow or Wednesday? We got that report coming. Someone says maybe $3.99. If it really dumps, it'll retrace back to $4.20. Kunai says buying because I'm mad. Okay. Some say some overreaction and profit taking pretty normal. Also, great opportunity to get in for the long-term value investment. There's another question here. It says it just completely doo-dooed the entire bed. And I could tell you, I'm as a long-term holder, I mean, our averages is down there, it's down there, but and we're in the green, but I'll tell you, it's not something I want to see. I mean, to lose or see a investment go down, basically tens of thousands of dollars, in a day is not always pleasant. I'll tell you what. But it's good that we're overall up. Tanet says, boom, I'm happy I don't have much to do now. JG says, downtrend. All right. Big Bear, not an overreaction. Earnings call was very poor, other than the cheerleader shaking pom-poms. And it's not a bad, it's really not a bad take. They should have done more of the Q&A. They should have talked more about the contracts, or at least given us an idea of some of the dollar amounts. Didn't really open up the eye into the company. And it was one of their worst earnings that I've seen. Not from a perspective of, like, yeah, the dollar amounts were not favorable, right? But, I mean, even with a miss on revenue, so they come in $10 million, or what is it, $4 million less than they came in last quarter. Okay, so they come in with less revenue. And yeah, the net income goes negative. It went negative. But is there a worse way to have it than just shut out public, not really talk with everybody or do a Q&A? I think that's absolutely, they should never fear a Q&A. They should absolutely answer the questions, especially on a sell-off. So I think that's a valid look. Song Lang says there's no way this is overreaction. It missed over here, and I've never seen. Sorry, the chat moved. I couldn't see it. I think you said I've never missed by, or 1,000% missed by 1,000%. So they talked about the bill. They talk about that. So what do we got going up? Well, or what do we got going on here, right? What do we got going up? Not Big Bear today, that's for sure. You got definitely overreaction on some of the questions. I see Thomas says 12K. He's down 12K. That is a bummer. Yeah, I mean, I'm down a little more than that, Thomas. I definitely can feel that. But I'll tell you, like, overall, we're up on it. $2.80 average. $5 today. Dipped down. When it's dipped, it kind of did the same thing here. Like, it dipped down huge in December, and it was around earnings in that quarter 4 2024, and it really dipped down huge from like $5 all the way down to $2.85, and then it rocketed to $10. I mean, could we see something similar where this pullback here is now setting it up for what could be, a more value add? That's kind of what we're seeing, like overreaction for long-term holders, but the short-term holders, it's just serious volatility. So let's just kind of take a look at it, right? So, some people have been buying and adding to a position. Mr. Habib bought in at $2.82. That's fine. For the people that bought in on the highs, right up here in this level, and they've been holding for just a short-term trade to see if it rockets up, no question about it, it's a frustrating spot to be in, 100%. There's also a risk management perspective from there, but there's nothing you could do now. Right now, they sell off on earnings. All you could do is basically adjust the position, be able to come to a new thesis, kind of manage it, get a plan around it, and potentially look for either a recovery or average out of it, or if you're really changing your thesis, potentially selling. It's now not a good position for those shorter term investors that see that picture. Longer term investors, what do we say all the time? Like, we get excited when we see red. Manny Fresh says the company is dead. And this is where it gets interesting. While the financials come in the way they come in, and while there's comments like the company's dead and things like this, same like cooler, someone says, you actually see real world usage right in front of you. So you also got to look at the real world usage. The real world usage is there. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. So I wouldn't classify it as dead company. I wouldn't classify it as, oh my gosh, look at that manipulation. The stock's done. It's over. It's done. I would not look at it that way. I would look at personally, I would look at it in a perspective of the value creation that we've seen from the company as far as real world usage. They do provide value to the marketplace. They do have legitimate contracts. They are actually at the airports that they're saying they're at. There's no lying going on. You get what I'm saying? There's no lying happening around the fact that they're real and actually getting the usage. I mean, I've literally seen it I have some videos on my phone. I've seen it firsthand. But it really comes down to, so Rich says, my first thought is they're probably large sellers hoping for an overreaction so I can pick up some cheap shares later. There's this other perspective where it's like they put a lot of money into things. They've sold off. Now what they got to do is essentially continue to build out their network, and ahead of the Olympics and ahead of the World Cup, be the go-to player for the biometrics and continue to get bigger contracts with the US government. Would that be the route they're taking? Basically, that's what they said. It looks like the stock was tanking. The CEO there, Kevin McAleenan, was like, I'm just going to talk and I'm just going to say, basically, in this earnings call, here's what we have, this is what we have. We're in a really fast growing market. Things are happening really quickly. We're building out infrastructure that's going to be really good, and we're putting out our product, and it's a great time for us to be here. We're having really good timing, all this stuff. And he's like, and then also we are adjusting our guidance because the capital isn't coming in yet, basically. And then they adjust their guidance. And so it's true that they are getting the real world usage, though. It's just a lack of financials, basically, that came in. So we could take a closer look and kind of jump in. Let's see. I'm going to go to Google here, and let's just see what we got for Big Bear. Yeah, I mean, I get it, guys. I totally get it. For those of you guys, like, we made a video earlier. We said, do not call earnings. Do not bet big on earnings. It's never a place to do it. I mean, we've seen, gosh, in like AMD stock, when we were covering AMD, every time AMD was coming with earnings, they were selling off like 20%. So I'm not saying that this is the exact same situation, but it's like, earnings are when the big institutions sell, and you can't bet on them. It's possible that we could have seen a move just like this, even if they came out with positive earnings. I mean, the institutional selling kicked in before they even started their earnings call. So, as far as it goes with the institutional holdings, Keith says, how can you not see it up top? How he's not, you can see it up top. Tinette says, Will, how long will it take for Big Bear AI to recover? Let me get out my crystal ball. I'm not sure. When it comes down to the growth of what they've seen from the market perspective, I would assume that they're going to be a $5 to $10 billion company. When it comes down to their financials that they just came out with in this quarter, and we look at let's take a look at the earnings release here. It's a matter of the revenue wasn't too bad. It dropped there a little bit from the previous quarter, but they should have came in basically with more. It says primarily due to low volume on certain Army programs. Their gross margin, or this is where things really just absolutely just destroyed them today, which was the net income. Net income came in negative, and they didn't give a whole lot of reasoning behind it. And they adjusted that outlook for revenue between 125 million and 140 million. I mean, if they hit 140 million or above, they're still a $2 to $4 billion company. So looking at them right now, I don't know that they're even at $2 billion market cap. What is their market cap now? All right, so it hasn't adjusted, but they were just at 2 billion. They're probably at 1.6 or 1.7 billion. So yeah, I mean, based on where they're projecting, that's the type of valuation that we'd see them go up to, actually in that $7 to $10 range. But as far as timing and when it's going to happen, I mean, I don't know the long term. The short term here has been volatile. What we can watch is the support levels and see how it's holding right now. But again, for the long term, what numbers do you have that you can go off of other than just the market fit right now? So what we're seeing is essentially a big reaction to justified reaction there from the institutions here. And so that's how the financials came in. Exactly. They sold off 15 minutes before the call. Yeah, and then Palermo says numbers don't lie, the reaction was justified. I didn't read that comment, but I just see it. Exactly. So that is the reality of today. Now, when it comes down to the value they're providing in the marketplace, it would lead us to believe that they're going to continue to see financials catch up as they've been deploying their systems. Now, this is the other point, and this is probably what's going on. This is probably what's going on here. So someone else says, buy the dip. Then you have a bunch of comments here down below that says it's going to dump more tomorrow. Someone says it's over. Someone says it's only Monday. Yeah, the negative EPS is absolutely insane. So this is what we're looking at really for the growth here. And Luft Yoga says a terrible company. Not sure why people even invested in this company. They've had a terrible rep here for 2 years. Was there some reason that you were, or did you have like a question, or that's just what you had? Okay, got it. Appreciate you. Mark S says a good CEO finds a way to spin some sort of good news. They did none of that and sounded worried or nervous on the call. Yeah, I mean, that's what's going on. You also got another conversation here. Kanai says, keep selling, folks, please, trying to get a lower entry. So, when it comes down to the earnings, now we got to see the levels that they find at support. Let's take a look. So let's take a look at the near term and really see what's going on here. So when it comes down to the levels, let's just really jump in here. So that's the drop we see, right? And we can really see it. We can really see it closely here. This is what just happened basically, right? So we see this sell off. Now that we're down in these levels, let's take a look at what this looks like. So they're down here. Previous resistance level is now here. We're talking about a resistance level at 475. Got a resistance here, support level, and support. It's exactly what we talked about. Like every time there are earnings, we always have to look out. I mean, I just made a video literally earlier today. I said, watch this before the earnings come out. And I don't know if I can pull up like the transcript or the subtitles or how that works on this video, but literally the whole first 4 minutes of the video is essentially saying, guys, this stock right now, you do not want to call it. You don't want to say it's going to do this at earnings, because while we could be led to believe a certain thing, the biggest moves up or down happen right around earnings. And luckily, we were able to save ourselves. We actually converted some of our calls before the end, but also our long-term position is at $2.80 average, so we're still up. It's like Black Sky. At one point, Black Sky was up over 100%. I've seen that stock sell down to now being up only 30%. To still be up 40, 50% on the year, though, is where we have some really good momentum, and we just continue to to capitalize on it. So now that we're seeing it sell down to this previous resistance level and this previous support here at about $5 a share, this is what we got. We got a big earnings sell down. If we're even seeing a downtrend, it's possible we get a bounce. We could see something like this, a bounce as high as $5.90 up into this $6 range and get something like this, a recovery, and then maybe a continuation. If we do have positive CPI reports, something comes out, then potentially we could see a bigger recovery. That's how it looks on the near term. So you see that sell down now here as what is a terrible day for short-term traders and a glorious day for long-term investors that are looking to buy more. And I wish it didn't have to feel that way. It doesn't have to. You guys are here, you're tuned in. There's a lot of value in some of the comments. Schwander says, there are better opportunities than this company in AI. This is just essentially a meme stock. Go ahead and take some time to listen to the CEO talk on an interview. He's dumb. All right. So Schwander's got his point. Then we got Marquez says, I bought Leaps when it was at $6. In September we'll be down 230. Someone else says the sell-off's brutal. There's nothing that's someone says it's nothing to do with earnings. It's the guidance. It is the guidance for sure. But when I hear you say there are better AI opportunities in this, drop it. What is it? Go ahead, comment it. It is helpful. Angelo says the EPS is mad. Hope it climbs down to $5. So yeah, it's very mixed in the comment section. Fire sale, exclamation mark. Some people are like, they're going to be fine grabbing more shares. The way that I look at it is I wasn't happy with the communication on the earnings call. And if that matters, I don't know if that's helpful. Oftentimes when you have an earnings call, you're going to want to look for what will be a... Reese says, did they clear off any debt? Looked like they added to their assets. They actually did get more cash on hand. So at least they got more cash, right? But again, the earnings came in and they have these reports, and we talk about time and time again that we don't know what's going to happen, that we got to, look at it. Tim says the revenue hasn't grown in 4 years. It's just not true, Tim. It has grown. I mean, I could pull it up right here. Shall I? Let's take a look. Annual income statement. 4 years ago, they were at 91 million. Then 2021, they were at 145 million. Then 155 million. Then 155 in some change, some more. And then 158 million. I mean, it's going up. Is it as much as we would like to see? No, but I mean, to say it hasn't changed in 4 years or it's flat, we've seen them. They're growing from a revenue standpoint. So I wouldn't say that. That's just not true. But anyway, when it comes to the move that we're seeing, though, again, not happy with the earnings. Why is that? Imagine we ended the live stream. Let's just start there. Imagine we end the live stream, it's done. You got the earnings report, it's done. That is the worst. I wanted to hear what you guys are saying. And I wanted to hear what everybody's coming in with. Because there's a lot of people that are saying I'm very bullish. So a lot of people are saying I'm very bearish, or, that they're going to sell off. A lot of people saying buy, buy, buy. I mean, I get it. So I'm hearing both of you guys. I'm hearing both sides. But I could say we're all looking at Big Bear AI, and it's kind of like this 95% of people that are looking at the stock right now after this move, what are they doing? 95% of people that see this move happen, what are they doing after this? They're probably going to be leaving the stock. They're probably going to say, I'm done. I don't want to get burned on Big Bear. I'm out. Native S1N, Native Sin says, Big Bear AI is a good long-term play, but mentioned SoundHound. SoundHound's a good play long term as well. I mean, they came in with good earnings, and they're in the AI space. There's panic. There's that conversation of panic. So I could just tell you that the reason that there's going to be a lot of kind of animosity, or um, it's this feeling of like half of it, or 95% of people are like, I'm done with it, right? I'm not going to own the stock anymore. I don't want to touch it. Look how much it dropped on an earnings call. Almost every stock in history has had these types of earnings calls where they've dropped down, and they happen. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, that's totally fine, and by all means, all power to you if that is something you want to, just let go of it, realize losses, or maybe you're up and it dropped. Like me, I'm up long term, but it's dropped now, and I could easily say, I got to keep my money that I've made so far. I'm out of here, and we sell it, right? So you could do that. And then some people are in the illusion that you could do nothing but hold now. You can do whatever you want. You could sell, you can realize loss, you could average out, you could add to your position. You got a lot of options. But I'll tell you that when it comes to the other side of it, people see this and they say, Sam says, I'm going to double down. I'm going to buy more. I'm going to buy more. So it's a tough spot. So let me just tell you kind of where I'm coming from with the move, and what we're coming from with everybody here, right? So someone says, are you adding to the position? Don't just hold, buy. That's another outlook. Someone says, respected the exact trend line, still in an uptrend. That's the other possibility, right? Are they on the 200-day moving average right now? Oh my gosh, kind of. Can't really see it, but they sold down to here, and they're just above the 200-day moving average. I mean, this is kind of similar to what we saw back in April, right? Only thing is that it happened basically in one day. But yeah, they sold back down to basically above the 200-day moving average. They're still holding bullish on a 1-year trend. But anyway, what we're looking at here is, in my eyes, going to be probably some short-term trading opportunities that we're going to be playing inside of Stockmates in our daily live sessions. We might end up buying some bullish positions if it dips big even more, or if we start to get that confirmation of that bounce, it starts to really push up, or we see that bounce. These are the times when those 5, 10, 20% happens. Drago says, I knew that they would dump, LOL. And the other thing is, it's funny, like some people are like that. They go into the earnings, they sell everything before. They're like, I knew it was going to dump. And those are the same people, not always, Dragos. I don't want to put everybody in a compartment. But a lot of times, those are the same people that say, oh, I knew that it was going to go up. I shouldn't have sold, So don't beat yourself up either if you're looking at it, because there's another person that's saying I should have put a put right now before. So, it's a good, where we see it going now. Puff says, you think it's going to skyrocket off this sell-off, and you see that trend line on the 200-day moving average. It's an AI stock in a market that's good, so it's going to go up. Yeah, I mean, we got to look at the greater market. Hui Zhang says dips are coming, potentially with the KPI report, I'm assuming, or you're saying market pullback. It's possible that also fuels some of the fire, right? That we could see here with the AI stock. So there is, how many of you guys think that the net income is a deal breaker? Because I see a net income like that. And I mean, let's pull up that good example. Someone said, they said, Will, what about, they said SoundHound. They were looking at SoundHound. Because if I'm not mistaken, like there was a time when we were looking at SoundHound AI, when they came in here. I mean, let's look at it. Can we just take a moment? SoundHound was in a different part of their cycle. But let's just take a look, all right? So they came in, SoundHound came in with their earnings. back in December 2024. You guys remember? Revenue, $34 million, right? So just a little bit less or a little bit more than what Big Bear AI came in. Big Bear AI came in revenue-wise, 32 million, okay? So again, SoundHound came in $34 million. SoundHound lost $260 million net income loss, SoundHound. And their cash was still good. Their balance sheet was good. Their assets were up. And what happened after SoundHound there? SoundHound then came in with the recent earnings, and their recent earnings was even better, with positive revenue, positive net income, and their stock absolutely roared. Take a look at it. Kind of did a breakdown on this one. And we just projected this move here on SoundHound. We were looking for this recovery on SoundHound to really get up into about $13. It actually ended up getting up into $16 a share, a 47% swing upward. And we see SoundHound, they were not doing so hot with their earnings, and then they just started to make big recoveries. So with Big Bear AI, it's almost like an exact picture of the same financials. They just came in with negative net income of, so Sound came in negative 258. Big Bear AI just came in negative 135, or no, negative 228, so even less. And Big Bear AI sold off big, just like SoundHound did. So now we're looking at it, and we're looking at Big Bear, and it's kind of a similar situation, right? Could it bounce? Could we see it recover and make that move and continue to make its run up into $10 or more? To me, I think that it could make sense for them to do that. And they messed up in their earnings call. They should have done a Q&A. They should have, I mean, look, I'm not going to blame it. I don't have any desire to blame them, but as a company, they wanted their earnings to do better. They probably should have opened up Q&A. They probably should have done a little more talking with everybody, but it's possible they're one of the companies like, we're doing our earnings call, get it out of there. All right, we recorded it. Okay, we're done. All right, I got to get back to work. Whatever the stock does, whatever the stock does. And some companies do that and it works, right? Luft Yoga says they do have the cash. They do have the cash. Yep, exactly. So Fearless Dude says, please blame them. I mean, look, I think there's a responsibility that you have to people, you know, that you're just going to lose investor trust if you don't open up to them more in an earnings call and really talk more, or at least ask them questions. Like I'm running a private company right now. If I'm working with any investors that want to, you know, back or be a part of the company I work with, we're private, but I'm showing them all the financials. I'm talking to them. I'm asking them what they think. I'm asking them, you know, what do you think about this move? Guys, we're making this move. Does that seem like something you do? Who has expertise in this? You know, oh, you got a question about that? Yeah, what is that? Oh, you know, we do this. We think about it. We have ideas. We probably come out with growth. Do you know how beneficial it would be for them to hear from an investor that says, hey, you guys, you probably do better if you kind of share how much cash or how much contract value is attached to each of those airport contracts that you have, those deployments. How much is each one of those worth? Imagine they give that number. Oh yeah, well, each one of those is worth about 3 million. And they're like, and we plan to expand to, and then they tell us the number, we're planning out to expand to 40 or 50 of those over the next year. Okay, so that's an extra $200 million or 150 million. And then how about the data? Are you guys renting data? You got contracts on the data side of things with the Department of Homeland Security? I know it's not just with the airports, right? Is there a data contract? There's questions that would give it a better idea to investors. So this is either the moment where we see them not hold that $5 range, that 200-day moving average that they're selling down to now. And then we start to see this bear move, or this is the time when they bounce back hard. We start to see them soar up. We see a V-shaped pattern like this, and then they continue their run, and it's just an ultimate buying opportunity. What seems more likely? Most likely going to be more of a pull down, more of a consolidation, and maybe a slower recovery as a result of their financials on the net income side. Kind of same thing as SoundHound. They had to come out with some earnings that were good before they really started to surge. So that's kind of what we got going on. Now, when it comes to the moves moving forward on Big Bear AI, there are Shua says it's literally the end of the world. I love it. Yeah, we got bigger problems in other places. I get it. Is it dead? I don't think it's dead. I mean, that's a good question. Do you think it's dead? Do you think it's dead? Kwong says meme stock. Do you think it's a meme stock? Do meme stocks have real world usage? JM sold this morning. Will rebuy. Alan says we'll buy. Tyler Wilson, this is why we learn from history. I read a study. Most companies, like there's a higher chance, right? They have a 86% chance of selling off on earnings today. So I love when we have both sides in the chat. I'd love to see you guys in the chat and sharing with it. And successful investors, they always pressure test their own thesis, right? I'm not here to say Big Bear is going to recover, guys, get in now. And it's never been that way. It's always been, here's what they're doing. I find this really interesting. What are they doing with their real world usage? What's going on with their news, these contracts they're getting? And look, when they come in with these financials, I'm not here to defend it and say, guys, it's going to be okay. It's going to be good. I mean, those financials they came in with, they increased their cash. That's great. It's good. But when it comes to that net income coming in negative, now they got to double prove themselves and they got to work against that net income that came in negative and continue to hopefully treat it like a SoundHound situation where SoundHound came with a negative income, but their partnerships just started to explode and they came in positive with more revenue in the next quarters and they continue to rally up. Now, most likely on Big Bear AI, that's what they want to do. That is what they want to do. And you hear the CEO saying that's what they plan to do. Now, whether or not they execute on that, that's where we got to look at it. They've been quiet. They've been conservative. They haven't said buy before the earnings. They haven't said we're absolutely the number one company changing the game and nobody else is doing what we're doing. They haven't said that. There hasn't been any lies. They have never said that they're in airports when they aren't. It's only been places that they are in. I've seen it fairly value based on what they report versus what is the truth. And so the same thing is true here. Could we see a sustained movement? Probably looking at somewhere around this $5 to $6 range. We're going to see them hold right somewhere in here. If they sell below $5, we're talking new levels. We got to watch probably down to about 380, somewhere in there. But we're looking for them to hold that $5 range, potentially even recover back up into this $6 range. If they get back up into $6, then we're no longer where we were back in June. I mean, it's just 2 months ago, really, where we were back here at $5. But we're looking to really get back up into that $6 range here. The next level of resistance that they'll face is back around 550. So they're going to shoot up here, maybe to 550. If they do, that's a resistance. We want to see them maybe push above, hold it. And then the next level of resistance that they'll find is going to be right here. This previous resistance here and previous support level at about $6 a share. So again, they're holding a $5 price point right now. They're trying to hold that $5 range. And if they do, we're looking for a recovery really up into this 550. Now, again, we just got to monitor the market tomorrow too, see how things play out. Overall, AI had a pretty good run the past few weeks, despite some turbulence. And so we're really looking for a 10 to 20% recovery. That's what I'm going to be looking for at market open. I know it's not the most ideal if you're short term, you see a dip like that, but those of you guys that weren't in it or that you were not fully in with your buying power, these maybe pose some opportunities. At least that's how I see it, for potential adding of positions or being able to make some money on a recovery there, or adding to a long-term position to hold and build some value. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully it's helpful for you guys. Appreciate you all. Hopefully you're having a good one. On the monthly, they look good. It's true. You know, that's always a joke, right? The more that you zoom out, the more it looks like it's okay, right? Now they're also down to this this 200-day moving average here. They didn't reach it, but there's a 200-day moving there around $4.50. So kind of want to watch that level as it will update. They'll be down here around this $5 range. So they haven't even touched that 200-day moving average. So actually still holding bullish on the 1 year. So we'll just have to watch and see how it goes. Yep, makes sense. BBAI Investor Relations from CJ says, please do earnings Q&A next time you present on an earnings call. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Joseph, long term, they'll be okay. Got it. Andrew Friedman commented with the clown emojis. Are you a clown, Andrew? Enlighten me. CTM is easily manipulated, unfortunately. Stuart Phillips. Yeah, I mean, CTM, did it sell off today? 4%? It's down to $1.22. Yeah, I mean, guys, CTM stock is a penny stock. It is it's still in its uptrend right now. So nothing that would startle us really, right? Still in its uptrend, still holding pattern, trying to make this run up into this level here, up into that $1.40 range, up into that $1.50 range. So yeah, it's going to fluctuate heavily. Again, it's $100 million market cap. So institutional investors, or even non-institutional investors, because they don't even have that much institutional buying, could really move that stock there. Appreciate it. Drago says, LOL. I'm down 3K. That hurts, Raymond. When the wagon gets light, the price gets right. Blaine, I actually love that one. That's a good one, man. Tom says, would love to hear more about that about the contracts for sure. I agree. We'll have to see what happens there. Bug says, love you, Will. Love you too, man. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Believe you're a man. Thanks for tuning in. Silver Screen, they have cash and they're saying they're expanding internationally. Plus the tailwind of the U.S. government big beautiful bill. Yeah, and along with the World Cup and the Olympics is in their favor. So that's the kind of long-term approach right there. That sentence right there. They have the cash and they're saying they're expanding internationally, which they're saying, but they are. Just saw some comments. They got Heathrow Airport. There's JFK. They're in Los Angeles. So they are. But again, you know, the rest of the sentence says, plus the tailwind of the U.S. government big beautiful bill. I mean, that's kind of a long-term approach. That's what people are looking at. That's what they would see for a long-term play. And that's the optimistic approach, right? Then you got Jaskol says, waiting for good news. Yaniv says, I'm dead. What do I do? I lost 6K. Well, Yaniv, you're not your money, first of all. Did you lose it? Did you sell it? Curious about that. If you need any help, let me know. If you're in StockMate, shoot me a message. I think you may be in StockMate. We could give it a talk. I can tell you what I'm doing. I think I'm down about 12K. Like portfolio's up because we had some moves in semiconductors, but down about 12K today on the Big Bear position. So I could feel you. I could feel you twice as much. But yeah, definitely what I'm doing right is definitely just for me, at least the way I approach it. The overall position I have is about $2.80 average. I'm fairly bullish on the long-term perspective, so I'll continue to add. And shorter term plays will look for a bounce and maybe even add. We've actually been able to make profits almost nearing our total long-term position just by trading the short term. I wouldn't say our total, but definitely like we've made more than $10,000 or $12,000 trading it on these types of swings as we've been holding our long-term position. That is true. That is true. Don says Rickson is down. Okay. Appreciate you guys. Should we just set up like we need a community like club for when an AI stock drops, right? Sinaja says you only lost money if you actually sold. Yeah, Warren Buffett. So it's all good. I'm buying again, someone says. NP Alaska. William Walker says, great exercise for my mental health today. Hey, that with every adversity is an equal opportunity. Love it, William. Appreciate you, man. Stuart, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Are they still at Denver International Airport? They are. Yes, they are. Mike says, we invest the future. The future of the stock looks good. It's true, Mike. I would agree personally. I don't know about everything on the short term here. Why not? Damn disappointing. Shorts cover the pump a little bit. Yeah, it's true. If you see shorts kick in after something like this, you could see a squeeze and a big bounce. Zulu Froggy says, down 1K. This sucks. Are you down in total 1K? Just a short one? Scott says, I like BBAI long term. As of now, I'm there with you. I'm there with you. And it doesn't make me like it more. And I'll tell you what, one thing you have to do, watch out for, like imagine you're buying stock and it goes down and you're kind of holding it. And you almost get emotionally attached to it. It's going to go up. It's going to go up. I don't feel that way when I see it down. Like I'm definitely more looking at Big Bear as more objectively and where they're at. It's kind of like, it was really hard to emotionally, like I would have sold out of Rocket Lab a long time ago if it was all like, oh, I'm down. Because I remember buying Rocket Lab $5, it dropped to $3, and I was like, oh my gosh, I lost so much. But we never sold because I had a friend that worked at Rocket Lab and he said, oh yeah, they're building rockets. As soon as they get this new launch, they're going to be launching satellites. They're going to be okay. That looks good. Their financials were slowly increasing. Was it a lot? No, it wasn't. It was like Big Bear. Big Bear is like slowly but like steadily year over year. Even if it's just a few million, they're not flat. They haven't been. And so, and that's kind of what kept me in. It was the logical side, not the emotional side. So I think that's important. Even like right now, like say you sell or you're looking at it right now, so it's sold off, something like that. I mean, definitely the emotional side is like, oh my gosh, I don't want this to like wipe out all my money. And if you're a short-term trader, most likely you'll sell out. And hopefully, a lot of people, I got a ton of comments on my video earlier today on Big Bear where we said not to buy any short-term positions before earnings. And just if you're long-term, maybe you add to a dip or it does spike and it's great. You get to get some more profits. But ultimately, we're like, we don't know what's going to happen, right? And then after that video, we got a bunch of comments and people were like, I'm averaging down. I could show you the comments. Someone was like, one of the good ones that actually I did as well with this guy. I don't know who it was. Let me see if I can find it. Can I find the comment here? I think I got to refresh. I can find the comment. But someone said, I'm rolling my position into selling puts. I'm selling puts on this stock now. And so that's a good way to do it. Like they're basically saying, I'm okay with my strike price. I'm going to roll this into some puts. And I thought, that's exactly what you would want to do for, a long-term bullish play that you want to conserve and get the premiums and just let it do what it does. And that was probably not too bad of an idea. Chuck Norris says, super disappointing earnings. Will hang in there. Again, it doesn't affect me emotionally at all. It's just a matter of reporting and making sure you guys have all the data. I mean, there was a few people who were saying it's over, they're done, they're out of here. And personally, the way I see it, I mean, gosh, it's like if you were saying that when a lot of people said that when AMD was selling off. Everybody was saying that when AMD was selling off. They were having earnings. Their earnings was actually good, and they were just selling off and selling off. And you know what people called AMD? They called it the advanced money destroyer. That's what they called it. And meanwhile, the whole time, and I'll kind of prove to you, I'll show you what it looks like. But the whole time, and I'm not saying this to brag or anything, right? It's actually just to kind of tell you how I work when it comes to these types of things. If you search AMD stock the whole time for months when they were selling off, I'm making these videos and I'm saying AMD and Starlink is the thing right now. AMD is going to blast off with Starlink. AMD is your indirect way to buy SpaceX, Starlink, and we went over it all. And not a lot of people like that, or they were just, it's the advanced money destroyer. Everybody's saying it's going to go down, and the institutions were lowering their price targets. Meanwhile, we're saying it's got to go to 165. It's got to go. I don't know if you guys remember that, but basically, like, we have these videos to prove it. If I search AMD stock, you see our Starlink videos, and it was like right in front of me because I was here in Northern California when there's the stars at night and stuff, and you see the stars come up. Every few nights or every few weeks, they do the Starlink launch, and they launch these satellites, and I can see them above my house while I'm in the evening barbecuing some steak, and I'm looking up and I'm saying, wow, there's a Starlink satellites. That's real world usage, right? It's the type of thing that you stop for a second and you stop chewing your gum and you look up and you say, ah, wow. Same thing with Big Bear. When I would go to the airport and they scan my face and they say, hold still, sir, you can't be chewing your gum for a minute while it's scanned. Okay, you're good. I'm in that moment where I'm like, oh, this is actually something right now. This is a real thing. And so I don't cover stocks that we don't see that real world usage. It has to be real world usage. And that's why I could look at it now and I could say, I'm going to hold my long-term position. I'm going to continue to add to some positions, and we'll continue to trade the shorter term swings. And overall, Big Bear has made us a lot by doing that. And so we'll just continue to do it. Someone says, your money is you. That is the saddest comment to see if you see a stock go down. Your money is not you. You are not your money. Oh man. That is Patty, you came in with your money is you, and man, that would be a tough one to read if I was in a low place and I was down on a stock and I saw your money is you and I see my money go down. I'm like, so I'm going down. I don't know what I would do. Right. Ahmad says, panicking for nothing. I've been in the game for 18 years. This is normal. Yeah, I mean, it's normal. It is normal. It's not, you could look at it and say, oh my gosh, I'll tell you, the panic's high, especially when you see a negative net income, something like that. Of course. But yeah. Someone said, don't compare this to AMD. Compare it to Enron. I hope you're joking. Okay, you commented. You said LOL joking. I'm glad you made that comment that said that you're joking. Because I'm not going to get rage baited or anything like that. But that is funny. That is funny. All right, so boost to you. Thanks for tuning in, guys. So again, we'll be watching the financials for sure. We're going to get an update too on any new contracts. I'll leave those with you guys. At one point, they were down 30. They're down about 27, so a little bit of a recovery now at the moment. And we're going to be watching there. And there you go. Mark says that about Amazon. It is, comparable. Mark says, I had Palantir at 20 and got out when it went down to 10. Kind of a comparable situation. I could see what you mean. Yeah. Someone else says Amazon when it went to 6. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, it's part of the market, right? It's part of the market. Now, I wish that you are not your money. Affirm that, right? But at the same time, it's very clear, clearly going to happen where we see these pullbacks, especially on earnings. Hope you guys, just know that, like, any experience you have, there is a seed of an equal opportunity. I'll tell you, whether it's, learning about, okay, I need to not go in high at earnings. I don't know what's going to happen because we made a video about it, but if you didn't catch it, like, today, that's just part of it. you know, you learn from it. You're going to come out with more from this. You might even get excited around earnings when a dip happens because you're like, oh my gosh, a time to buy, you know, or what have you. And so just kind of keeping that in mind, there's an equal and greater way to like, or to, sorry, learn from the situation and frame it in a way that it could be beneficial for you. Manny says BBAI is nowhere like Palantir. They are actually similar to Palantir. In fact, they're partnered with Palantir, and they have software that runs parallel to Palantir for some of their Homeland Security, Department of Defense contracts. So they are actually kind of like Palantir. I hate to break it to you. I mean, it's just fact. You can look it up. You can see their partnerships. And I don't want to be mean. I don't mean to say hate to break it to you. Sorry about that, man. Hopefully I'm not hurting your feelings. For real. I didn't mean that. What I meant was, let me inform you about these facts, Manny, so that you have this for your quiver when you fire arrows in the future, man. Don't forget to buy WPTN. Okay, that's interesting. All right, I love when people just shill a stock and they're like, don't forget to buy this one tomorrow. Oh man, appreciate you guys. All right, so Omar's just tuning in. Do you think BBAI will go up? Personally, I'm adding to a position. Mark Twain is in the chat. Mark, good to see you. You still own it while in the red? Yes, personally I do. And most likely will add. So anyway, guys, that's kind of that's going to be the focus here. We're going to see more on the financial side. We're going to see more on the earnings and how this is going to affect some of their stock movement. We'll take a look at some of the financials, but also just really looking at this chart. They sold down today, not fully to that 200-day moving average, but they're probably going to be approaching this 200-day moving average right here around $4.50. They haven't sold down that far. In fact, they have a support around $5 they sold down to. So we got to see if they hold that level. We're going to look for a recovery potentially, but right now, falling knife, selling off, urging caution, and I haven't added to my position yet, just kind of watching. There is a 450 support, but we also saw them bounce recently at $5 right after earnings and could be the bottom. So we'll see. Awesome. Appreciate it. Suresh, I don't pump stocks personally. I like to cover stocks I'm interested in. So we don't really focus on stocks that are necessarily like pump and dumps. That's not something that I ever really look at. Why are still defending the bad earnings? I'm not. I pointed them out. That's why I did the video, actually, was to make sure everyone's informed. So hopefully that's helpful. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Shade says the only bright spot is they have an abundance of cash. It's true. They did get a lot more. They did get a lot more cash, so potentially could be, on track for them. Earnings call is now. It just wrapped up. Jason C says, is it gambling? What moat do they have? Their moats is the infrastructure they're building with their very scans. Sriyas, I appreciate you. Thanks so much for tuning in, man. But with 0 subscribers and some bold claims, I'm not going to let it fly, man. Can't have misinformation on the channel. Some people are like, Will, how could you delete a comment? Somebody is saying something that is not true, and they are some like 0 account subscriber, like nothing. It's just like spewing information. Sorry guys, gotta take it out. But anyway, Pantelis, how come they got the cash? What do you think of SoundHound? SoundHound, we just covered it. It's kind of a similar situation. It's kind of how we're gonna follow it. And when it comes down to the next updates for Big Bear, we'll still be covering it quite prevalently. There's nothing that I would change about the different markets we're covering right now. I look forward to covering more with you. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all. Again, if you would like to learn how to stay tuned to stocks, earnings, get on top of the AI boom that's happening, along with learning how to invest in semiconductors, AI companies, quantum, and space stocks, I would encourage you guys to simply take a look at StockMate. It's the second link down below. We just did our live session this morning. If you ever want to join us there at Market Open, we go live every morning at Market Open. And appreciate you. Poopity Scoop says, damn, down 10K is crazy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, man, actually $12,000 we're down, but it's okay. We're still up on the year. We're up in double digits. I mean, some of the positions we've taken, we've been able to nearly double our money. So, it's okay, man. It's totally fine. It happens. Sell-offs happen. It's just all part of like managing the risk and looking for those opportunities to be able to capitalize on them and ultimately learn from things like that. I didn't personally bet big on the earnings. We don't just call it out. It's like we don't know. BlackRock could sell, which kind of happened. And so you don't know. And basically the best thing you can do is essentially react after the earnings. That's going to be your best bet than trying to call and see what happens. So that's what's going on. All right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you have a good day, and I'll talk to you guys later on. Have a great one. Thanks for tuning in. Daniel, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Thanks, James, Jason, Sam, Michael, thanks for tuning in. AJ with the overreaction. Appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.